Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's a few days after Christmas. Back on the Dutch barge in the barn for a little bit of work. It's been abysmal yesterday, rain. Last night, me and Fran were kicked all over the place on the boat. Really rough, so I don't think we've had much sleep, but that's what you get when you have an end mooring. So we get battered by any storm that's kicking about. But right, can't quite remember where we finished off. I think I got the Webasto in. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the Webasto in a minute. That'll become a bit clearer. Pete's been he's looking at his water tanks and stuff under the floor. He's not here today. Right, oops, and I've got to be very careful I don't fall down there. All the bow thruster, windlass stuff is all buttoned up now, all finished. All fused, working. Some of it's mounted temporarily, obviously, like the breaker for the windlass there. But because you're going to put a bulkhead there. The bow thruster motor is all connected, working and tested. Great. All the looms down the starboard side and port side are now all in and buttoned in. We've also got the lighting looms run as well that will go to the switches, so they're all in. Obviously the lighting to the individual LEDs isn't there yet, and that's because there's nothing to fix to. So bring the positive and negatives down to the switches, and then once the ceiling starts to go up, we can start to run cables through. So that's all done. Still a bit of a nest over here still, because these are all the ends of the looms which I need to connect all up to these terminals here. So there's a fair bit of work left here. Oh, some of these also, I'll show you that in a minute. The trunkings around the breaker switches. Right, so I'm going to do a bit more earthing again today. Got some more earth cable. Got a few more things to earth. And also, yes, I've been running in some of the wheelhouse stuff as well, like wiper. There's a socket, a 230 socket there, wheelhouse lights. I've got to put obviously trunking in on this as well. So yeah, I've been doing a little bit of the wheelhouse as well. So today, yes, a little bit of earthing to do. Bit dull, but it's got to be done. We need to make sure that the chassis is earthed. So I've got an earth stud down there that I'll connect to the earth to, and make sure that all the incoming earths are done as well. So need to crack on with that. Also, the Webasto. Let's put you down because my arm's aching. Will you sit there for a second? Oh, you will. Great. It's not the warmest of days, but it's warmer than it has been. The Webasto, I just juggling loads of things. Just ordered a Webasto EVO. Yes, 12 volt, of course it is. Most of the internal cabin stuff is 24 volt. That I think on a boat this size, it didn't need to be 24 volt, but because the alternators had all been purchased and that already, I sort of had to go down that path a little bit, but didn't need to be. It's not a particularly long boat anyway, so the cable runs aren't that big. Yeah, you save a little bit on copper, yeah, I get all that, but it didn't really need to be 24 volt. But anyway, the Webasto is a 12 volt unit. The 24 volt units are a bit harder to come by. They tend to be like a 5-6 week delivery sometimes on the 24 volt EVOs. And because of their sort of rarity, the stock levels aren't always so high, so good on the second-hand parts. So what I'm going to do, we've got a 24 to 12 volt Orion, Victron Orion, a 20 amp one, which is going to be used for things like USBs, maybe TV sockets, whatever. Nothing major, but a few little bits and pieces. So I'm going to run the Webasto up on there. I put my diagnostics in. I'm going to run the Webasto up. Got no diesel in it, but I can get it to the point where the water pump's on, the air fan's on maximum, the fuel pump is clicking, and the glow plug is on. And that's the highest draw of any time in that cycle. So if I can look at that and see that that is stable, and I'm going to measure the current as well, excuse me, just to be sure. But if that's around about 3 or 4 amps, and our 20 amp Orion is stable, then I'm going to run it from the Orion. I'm going to do that. So, and it should be, I mean, even though our starter battery is 12 volt, you wouldn't run the Webasto off the starter battery. So, and you wouldn't run it off one battery to get 12 volts on your bank either, because that just overloads that one battery. So I'm not doing any of that. So I'm going to run that up, see what happens. Let's give that a test in a minute. And any other bits and pieces that need doing today. So Pete's not here. So it's just get back together and see what's going on. Where are we? He's got a lot to do. He's pretty much ready for first fix now. Got a lot still left to do, so I might not be here that much over the coming months, but yeah, it's not like he hasn't got stuff to crack on with, because he definitely has. But we're getting there, we're getting there. Right, I'm gonna get some of these earths in, and then we'll have a look at this Webasto, shall we? Right, so I'm going to use the smart shunt just to tell me what that power consumption is of the Webasto. You can see the screen here, so you can see this only drawing by 0.3 of an amps or something, which is just probably the Orion powered up and the Servo GX is powered up, so nothing major. So I'm going to connect the Webastos to 12 volt, and then I'll use my diagnostics then to switch everything on and just see what that current is. I'm just connected up to the 12 volt. This is the 12 volt valve just here, the positive negative, and the diagnostics plugged in over to the laptop. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use the shunt actually, because that's only going to pick up the 24 volt current. I've just clicked on my ammeter here. Oh, here comes the rain again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire the heater up. It's not going to start. It's going to have a go. You can see we just pull in half an amp, just on standby. So let's fire that up and see what that's going to pull, and we can look at the stability on that voltage as well. So it's just connecting to the heater now. Right, there we go. These EVOs take a lot longer to establish comms and do whatever they've got to do than the old thermotops. So we can hear that now. So all I'm looking at is the maximum current draw. So you can see we're pulling 7 amps at the moment, so the glow plug will be on at the moment as well. Just set the voltage from the Orion as well, stable 12 volts. I think that's one thing, it's not gonna dip down. So we're at 8 volts now, sorry, 8 amps. 8.5 amps, creeping up to 9. So you can hear this coming into life. There's no fuel going in because I've not connected the fuel yet. So where are we? Just over 10 amps, 10.5 amps. Just seen 11. That's dropping back down now because she's failed to start. Okay, so 11 amps. Just turn that off, that's all I need for that test. So 11 amps. So yeah, the Webastos are quite sensitive with their lower voltage threshold, and in fact this one is where are we? Let's see if I can find it. It's not there. Okay. I don't know, it's normally 10.79, I think, 76, without checking. So if the voltage drops below that, it'll cut out. Of course, with the Orions, they have a perfect stable 12 volts. So it should never dip that far. So I've got a couple of options really. Well, I've got a backup plan. So 11 amps, no big deal. This is a 20 amp Orion. There will be a few, like say, USBs on it. No great big deal. Of course, once that Webasto started, it'll only be pulling 1 or 2 amps, nothing major. So it's just the start sequence I'm looking at. Of course, if I needed to, I could change that 2412 Orion to a 30 amp item, and then they're not going to forget all about it. There's, you know, but I'm trying to avoid that if I can, because obviously I'll take a bit of a hit with that one. But at the moment, all seems good. So yes, we're going to keep the 12 volt Webasto. The availability of parts is much higher, and we're going to run that from the Orion. I bought me a flask of coffee today as well, because Pete's not here to make coffee for me. Right, that's all good. I can wire that in permanently now, the Webasto, and I can sort of forget that a little bit now. Right, I've mounted those fuses up there for the Webasto. I'm gonna get some terminals, sort of stud terminals for the positive and negative. The reason of that is, I've said before, that if you cut that wiring loom, then you can lose the warranty on the heater, the whole thing. So I never ever cut or modify the wiring loom at all. So I should put a couple of 8mm stud terminals on there. In fact, they're 10mm. There's 10mm stud terminals, and take that down to the 12 volt rail. That way the wiring harness is intact. And of course, Webasto recommend wiring those direct to the batteries, but in this case I can't because they're 24 volt. So I'll go direct to the power source, the 12 volt power source, if that makes sense. Right, a bit of earthing to do. And this has been up for a little bit of debate, well, sort of. If you look at the small print of inverters, Victron inverters, and it is the small print, it recommends that the earth on the inverter is the same size as the 12 volt, 24 volt conductors. So yeah, a lot of people, me included at times, have put like a 10, 16mm earth on there, earthing the case like we would do if we was earthing it for 240 volt, 230 volt. Now, I sort of get the logic behind this, so I had a bit of a discussion with the guy on one of the Victron forums, that earth could not carry the fault current should the 12, or in this case 24 volt, touch down to the chassis. So all that current, hundreds and hundreds of amps, would have to flow down that small earth cable. So I do get that completely. So now I'm doing a few things. Yes, I am connecting an earth that is the same size as the conductor, in this case 70mm, which is a big earth, yes, be honest. And then I will also, off that stud terminal, take another 10mm up to the other earth bar where all the, let's say the 230 volt stuff is. So I'm tying all the earths together as well, but this one has got a direct link straight down to the chassis, and that is again connected to the battery negatives. So all that earth is any time there's a fault current, which we hope there never is, of that sort of magnitude, that this conductor is safe. So right, yes, so I've got to put some crimps on this, cut this, and we get that in. And a few other little earths about the place, and that'll be it for a little bit. Yeah, one thing, remember, just put these crimps on. 70mm M8s. The earth cable, the protective earth cable, needs to be identified, so not just black. It needs to be identified, and I always I can't get earth cable this big, not stranded, so I may use black, but I will identify it all the way along the length, so there's no misunderstanding exactly what it is. And that's perfectly acceptable, is to identify a cable. You know, in this case, is it the wrong colour? Sort of technically, but it is, like I say, you couldn't misunderstand that. So you can see it's right. Let's get that in. and I'll run a 10mm earth up to the earth bar as well. So we've got that all bib and braces stuff, especially when it comes to safety. Right. Do you know whether actually I sort of got to be careful in some ways, but I've got all the the ISO standards for inland waterways craft. And what I mean by that is the AC ISO standards and the DC ISO standards. I didn't know whether it was probably worth going through some of those, like as educational stuff. I've got an educational playlist I haven't done a lot with lately. Whether it would be worthwhile going through that. I can't reproduce it as a print because you have to buy those and I would get shot. But I can discuss them in, I can discuss them, I just can't print them. So I've got those. I've got also the training material as well. I can't just reproduce, but to be fair, I did it to get the qualification. I did know most of it anyway. But so basically, do you want me to do any more educational stuff? Is that something of worth? Are there any particular subjects that you'd like me to maybe cover? And remember, I'm not a scientist sitting in his bedroom, like some of these not YouTubers, but even them, like some of these keyboard warriors are. I live in the real world, so if we're talking about the ideal way to balance a battery bank, and this is 1.1 something% more efficient, I can't get away with that mostly. So if it's a new build, then yeah, crack on. But most of the time I can't, get into that little finite discussions. I'm just not going to get involved in those. But real world stuff, yeah. So if there's anything you want me to cover, anything you want me to have a look at, or anything that you're struggling with, then give me a shout. You can always buy me a coffee. But anyway, let's get this earth in and jibber jabber. You can see the earth stood there, which is just to the to the left of the positive terminal. So I'm gonna have to move that temperature sensor out of there and get that on there. Right, that's rerouted that. So now I've got free access now for the earth cable onto that stud there. Well, that's that bit done. Poke the large earth, the 70mm through that hole into the engine bay where I'm going to drill into the chassis, the bearer bars, not through the floor, that'd be a mistake. And then this other earth, the smaller 10mm, will go up to the earth bar up there. So everything then is all bonded together. Right. That's pretty hard, that is. Well, nearly through. I was cleaning the paint off, put a bolt through there, nut washer, all that sort of stuff, and bolt that earth straight to the chassis then. So that's got that covered. Right, that's tight. Right, that'll do for today. Short day, mid-Christmas. Well, between Christmas and New Year. So I'm just doing 4 or 5 hour days. Go have a look at a Webasto on the way home anyway, so there you go. No rest for the wicked, they say. Right, okay, so that's an update. I think I don't think I'll be here for a while now, because I think Peter's just going to crack on with. I see he's doing the floor, and then he'll start coming up the gunnels, and he's got a lot of lining to do. So looking forward to seeing that, because I know he'll make a damn good job of it. But I don't think I'll be here for a while now. So yeah, we'll catch up at this sometime in the future when he's ready for me again. So right, okay, there's your update number 4. A lot of work actually, a lot more work than people realise. But yeah, we're getting there. Right, I'll see you next time, guys. Lots of things coming up on the channel, so keep them peeled, and yeah, make sure you subscribe. We're almost there at 2,000 subs. That would be lovely. It doesn't make a lot of money, doesn't make a lot of difference financially to me, but it is nice to see those subs coming up, and they are. But come on, press that subscribe button. Cheers, guys. Right, see you soon. Take care.